sagittally, it's pretty easy. Just go from the central fissure. Sound?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There. Yes, it's tasty, huh? So we get a better view here. There we go. So here, some of the structures that you're going to be finding on your list. Let me know. I'm going to be listing them. If there's anything that is in there that I don't have it here, please remind me of that. So first of all, there are ventricles in the brain. So you studied that one, right? Those little cavities are four of them. What the heck have you studied then? All right, you said a little bit, nervous system. Okay. So you've talked about the neural tissue. Okay. So, but anyways, there are cavities in the brain. So there are 4 cavities: 2 lateral ventricles and 1/3 ventricle and 1/4 ventricle, right? So those cavities, one is behind this guy. This is called the septum pellucidum. This structure, I don't think I asked you to find that, but you'll see it in the book. If I already cut through it. So if you look at it, there's a little cavity there. That's called one of the ventral cavities. There's another one here. This is the 3rd ventricle. Actually, the 3rd ventricle is this whole area. This is a little bit tricky. We can look at after today's lecture. Maybe you can, we can talk about it on next week. Actually, it will be easier to talk about it if you need a little lecture on this one. That'd be a 3rd ventricle. This is the 4th ventricle. This little space here on the cerebellum. Notice that it's not in there until I put the probe in there, because I know exactly where it is and I can open it up. You see the ventricle? So there's another one. It's right here. This is called the cerebral aqueduct. Basically what it does, it comes all the way up here and connects this region, this ventricle with this ventricle, 3rd with 4th ventricle. It's called cerebral aqueduct. I think in your book calls it mesencephalic aqueduct, which is the same thing in case if that's the called. This is the pineal body. Remember what we were looking at earlier? You see from there? This is the pineal body. This one. Before we looked at it this way. We were looking at it this way. But now you can actually see. And not only that, but you can see the superior colliculus, inferior colliculus. You can see it here too. Collectively, these 2 guys are called corpora quadrigemina. Collectively. There are 4 little units. This is your thalamus. This is the corpus callosum, this little white structure. This white structure. It's a corpus callosum, which basically connects the 2 hemispheres of the brain. And this little guy here under the corpus callosum is the fornix. This one. Fornix means arch. Basically arches over the thalamus. This little guy.
Is that surrounding or bordering the 3rd ventricle too?
It's actually the roof on top. Yes. 3rd ventricle, right? Now, this is involved in emotional and feeling and stuff like that. But this one, the corpus callosum, basically are the neurons or axons. They go cross from one cerebral to another cerebral. So your 2 hemispheres can communicate. So let's see what else. Oops. And then the mammillary body. So this is the optic chiasm. Actually, this is on this one you can see better. This was the optic chiasm. Remember that? We cut it off. And the mammillary body is another white structure is right here. It's tough to see. But it's going to be in some of the structure, you can see it in some of the brains. It's pretty clear because the color is distinctly white. You can see it. But the general location, know it. If this is the optic chiasm, see how it is different? You're actually going to see the mammillary body is going to be that distinct as well in some of the brains. This one is not particularly. And then the pons and medulla oblongata, you can actually see those 2 structures here. You can see, what else?
Is the pons the
pons
protruding
part?
Okay.
Yeah, up higher, this area called the pons and the medulla oblongata here.
Okay.
These are actually, collectively, these 2 are extremely important, the structures of the brainstem. Together, they're extremely important. They do a lot of important stuff, and hopefully you'll learn in your lecture. So, let's see what else. Coming down here, there was a little capillary earlier I saw. This one. This is called the choroid plexus. They're specialized capillaries. What do they do? I know you've studied this one. If you studied the neural tissue, involved in the production of CSF. So these capillaries.
Astrocytes?
Well, not astrocyte, no, ependymal cells. Ependymal cells along with the capillaries, but they're not here though. The capillaries, these are the capillaries. So they're dark colored capillaries. They're kind of hiding in this corner here. I had to go in there, take them out, like a rattlesnake. So these guys are there. It's called choroid plexus. It's on there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not on
on
the
the
sheep brain, but it's
human.
something on the
Yes,
human brain.
and
that
so
we'll
you
need to
know it's going to be general location. The good thing about this is almost 100% identical. So everything that you see in the human models, it's going to be here. If you learn this, you got it down for human as well. So it shouldn't be a problem. There are very little minor differences, but that's about it. It's going to be almost identical. And is there anything else I'm missing there on the list?
I think you covered all of them.
There we go. How easy it was. Piece of cake.